There's nothing quite like the letter M to strike a little bit of excitement into the heart of the motoring enthusiast. And even if you're not dead set on cars, there's a likelihood you'll already have heard of the BMW M3 or maybe the M4. Now the car that we're looking at today is the new BMW M3 CS. And it's a car that takes the already quite exciting experience that you get in the standard M3 and dials it right the way up to maximise the kind of feedback you're getting from behind the wheel. And with more power than the standard M3 and a range of tweaks and tunes, this aims to be a saloon car that feels anything but normal. So let's get behind the wheel and see what this latest M3 CS is like to drive and, well, if it's worth the over £130,000 price tag. If you want a car with visual impact, then we think we found the right one for you. This M3 CS is very aggressive to look at. Naturally, the standard M3 had some rather question-arising looks in the first place, but the CS takes that one step further with all manner of carbon fibre extras, such as on the front splitter, and of course it's got these standout gold wheels, which I think look absolutely superb on this performance saloon car. The interior of the CS is focused all around the driver. The seating position is nice and low, and these heavily bolstered bucket seats, which are admittedly a little bit of a pain to get in and out of, are very comfortable once you're in them. It's just that entry and exit which is going to prove a bit of a pain. I like this Alcantara steering wheel, which feels both lovely to use and very motorsport inspired. And you've still got these quickfire M1 and M2 buttons on the steering wheel, which gives you easy access to your select driver modes without having to go through the screens. You set it up prior to your departure, and then you can press that and you get exactly what you want as and when you need it. Now the CS is all about lightweight, which is why you'll find certain elements of the car stripped out or replaced with carbon fibre panels. And one thing I find a little bit weird is that there's no armrest, and yet you've got air conditioning and a massive screen and rear seats. I think that if you've got those in, then I'd still like an armrest rather than this weird little pad thing. There are also no cup holders whatsoever, and I presume people who are driving an M3 CS would still like coffee from time to time, though having said that, the driving experience is quite awakening, so you shouldn't be too tired when you're driving this car. It's just a little bit of a conflict there between the lightweight ethos of the car and the everyday usability, and the fact that they've left some of those key features in when presumably they weigh a lot in the first place. For such a performance-orientated car, there's a surprising amount of space in the back of the M3 CS. These carbon fibre buckets do eat in the amount of room that you have overall, but there's still plenty of space for my feet and for my legs in general. And also, it's quite cool to have those little cutouts, though obviously there's going to be someone sitting ahead of you, but I like to have a little peer through, and they aren't too large, so you can still get a decent amount of visibility through to the forward part of the cabin. Now this very large transmission tunnel means that the person sitting in the middle isn't going to be very comfortable, and in fact if you had 3 people abreast I think it would be pretty squashed. But as a 4-seater I think this does very well in terms of space. It's just best to think of it as a 4-seater with an optional 5th rather than a hard and fast 5-seater overall. There's good news when it comes to the boot space of the CS because it's no less practical than the standard M3. In fact, there are 480 litres of space back here, and the load lip, though a little bit deep, does give you access to this nice square load area. I would say that because it's quite low down, it's going to be a little bit of a pain putting heavier items in, but there's more than enough space back here to get all the luggage that you want from those 4 or 5 people inside the cabin stowed away here. There's not too much else to think about. There are these cutouts here which can add some extra little bit of space, but overall just a very usable and practical saloon car boot. A car like the M3 CS, well, it comes with quite a lot of expectation riding on it. I mean, it's got massive stripes, huge wheel arches, big exhaust at the back, so you kind of expect it to handle pretty sublimely, and in most areas it does. It's aggressive, it's sharp, it's all-encompassing. It feels like at times it does want to kill you. But that's kind of what big, fast M cars are meant to be a bit like, particularly ones that have a harder edge like this CS version. The 3-litre twin-turbocharged straight-six engine up front has been boosted to 542 brake horsepower over the 503 brake horsepower you get in the standard M3. And it never felt like that was lacking in performance in the first place, but now you get 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.2 seconds, and anytime you go near the throttle, this thing it's really, really fast. But aside from the performance, what else have we got to enjoy? Well, the brakes on the M3 CS feel very powerful, and of course you've got a big car that will be going very quickly, and you want to bring it to a stop effectively, and fortunately those brakes do feel more than up to the job. The ride, as you find with so many performance vehicles, gets so much better the quicker you go. At low speeds, this car is very fragile feeling. It feels edgy and just a bit uncomfortable, but throw a little bit of pace into the mix and it really does settle down. There are different settings for the dampers, the chassis, the brakes, the steering, and you can switch between all of them between the most comfortable and the most sporty settings. I like to find somewhere in the middle. I like the steering to be relatively sporty, I like the exhaust to be relatively loud, and the engine to be in its most aggressive setting, but I like the dampers to be as soft as possible, because I just think that suits road driving in the UK far better. The only thing I would say about the M3 CS, and it's a criticism of the standard M3, is that it just feels on all the time. It feels like it can't chill out, it won't relax, it's always going. And I think if you've had a busy day and you want a car that's going to relax you and soothe you towards your final destination, this isn't the car for that. It's going to be still quite leery and still quite loud and very uncompromising too. But this isn't, after all, a pliable luxury saloon. It's a very fast performance saloon car. Now, it felt a bit sacrilegious when BMW said that its M3 would be coming with all-wheel drive, and famously M3s are rear-wheel drive, but the X-Drive system in this latest generation of M cars is fantastic. It gives you the added security when things are a little bit greasy, but then you can switch it to full rear-wheel drive mode at the push of a button, so you get that classic BMW rear-driven experience as and when you want it, but you can leave it in all-wheel drive so that your day-to-day motoring is a little bit more secure. There's just so much agility and speed to the way that this car reacts. It'd be nice to have a little bit more feedback from the steering. That's the only area that I find this car lacking slightly, is that it just doesn't feel that bristly, whereas I'm getting feedback from the ride, I'm getting feedback from the engine. The steering itself feels just a little bit dead. It's quick and it's responsive, and it certainly doesn't feel like it's not giving you proper control over the car. It's just not giving the kind of feedback that you might expect a car like this to give. If you want a car that's going to be relaxing and cosseting to drive, then the M3 CS is not for you. However, if you want an exciting driving experience backed up by loads of mechanical know-how that makes this car very, very intuitive to drive, but also involving, then the M3 CS is the car for you. It's still practical, it's still got 4 doors and still got plenty of room inside, but the tweaks and changes that have been made over the standard M3 make this into one of the most exciting new cars on sale. Of course, if you still want to go for a standard M3, you're going to be rewarded with just as much excitement, but arguably a little bit more day-to-day usability. And so if you are after a true all-rounder, I'd still pick the standard M3. But if you want that little extra edge and that little extra firepower, then this CS is the way to go. Thank you for watching this new car review for Motors on the BMW M3 CS. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please leave us a like underneath and let us know in the comment section what you think of this lightweight saloon car. Would you choose it, or would you be picking something else, or would you go for the standard M3 instead? And since you're here, if you could subscribe to the Motors YouTube channel, we'd be eternally grateful. And if you hit that bell icon, you'll get notified each time we upload a new video.